I am the genie of the podcast, and you get one wish. Oh, that's an easy one. I wish their Discord server was free to join. Wish granted. That's right, you guys and gals asked for it, and we did it. Our Discord server is now free to join. That's right, you get to come be a part of the best gaming community out there. You'll find the link in the episode description and over on our website at multiplayerpodcast.com. Now, I know what you're thinking. We do definitely still need your support. All right. So if you love the podcast, if you love what we're doing, and you are just thinking to yourself, this is awesome, I really want to support these guys, head over to multiplayersquad.com. That's where you can help support the show. You do get some awesome perks, but more importantly, you get our eternal gratitude. All right. Now enjoy the episode, and we'll see you on our Discord server.
Hey there, everyone. Thank you for listening to the Multiplayer Gaming Podcast. We are two dads that love gaming, and we release episodes every Monday and Thursday that are family friendly. On top of those regularly scheduled shows, if you want some additional content and also want to help support the show, you can subscribe in your Apple Podcasts app or on Patreon by visiting multiplayersquad.com. That'll actually unlock 2 additional quick take episodes for you every week. And also, if you subscribe on Patreon, you will also get a shout out on the show. I am your host, Paul, and with me, as always, my co-host. We just finished sharing a bird, a bottle, and a salted baguette. It's Josh.
Don't forget the deconstructed scallops and homemade French toast, Paul.
This is a reference that like 3 to 4 of our listeners are going to get, and they're going to really enjoy that one, and no one else is going to have any idea what we're talking about.
Oh, man. You made me watch a movie that I still do not understand what this movie was. All I know is a good movie. It legitimately was a good movie, Paul, but I don't know what just happened.
Just a couple hours ago, we went out to the movies with a couple of friends. First time you and I have been to the movies together since seeing Hellboy a couple years ago.
Oh my goodness.
Which was absolutely terrible.
No, what?
I'm going to go ahead.
Paul, we're not starting the show with you slandering Hellboy too.
The reboot?
Oh,
the reboot Hellboy was terrible.
Bad. Okay, sorry. Yes, that one you can slander all day.
That's the one we saw.
Yeah, that was terrible. With the one with David Harbour?
Yeah. And Mila Jovovich. Yeah. This was Pig with Nicolas Cage. I think it was a little bit better than Hellboy. But yes, that movie was very much up my alley. I don't know if it was quite so much up yours, but I did think it was a beautiful story about loss and love and people and change, but very different from Hellboy. How about that?
You liked it because it had intense cooking scenes. Food was an underlying theme. Yes, and it was dramatic. I thought it was a great movie. I really did. I pick on the movie because I joked with you that it was one of the most nonsensical movies that was made in a very high capacity, like a high level. Which made it great, but the people that came up with the script for this movie were probably not sober.
It could be. All right. Well, today is Thursday, which means this is a TWIG episode. So let's jump into this week in gaming. We always start off these shows on Thursday by talking about what we've been playing. I pinged you just a little bit ago, Josh, to ask if you've been playing anything kind of on your own. Not really so much. You've just really been playing more Rocket League and Overwatch, right? Nothing really all that new.
It's the old faithfuls, man. I'm very excited for this week. There's a few games coming out this week that we're going to talk about here in a minute that I've been pretty hyped for. I don't know that they're going to be earth-shattering games, but they're the kind of games that just look fun. And that's what I want right now. But man, good old Rocket League. Andy is my Rocket League duos buddy that we play together all the time. We got real close to champion in 2s, and then we kind of fell a little bit, but then we're climbing and then we're falling. But Rocket League never gets old to me. And then, man, we had so much fun playing Overwatch last night. And it's one of those things, like, Overwatch just never gets old, man. Don't get me wrong. There's frustrating moments in Overwatch. Like, I played a little bit earlier today, and man, it went terrible. But that game is just timeless. So yeah, those have been holding me over until this week.
Yeah, Overwatch is definitely our old faithful. It's something that we always go back to. Other games might come and go. For you, it's Rocket League and Overwatch. For me, it's Overwatch. But yeah, we ended up winning 10 games in a row yesterday. Like, some people hopped in or out and maybe were or weren't there for the whole run. But yeah, it was quite an epic night for Overwatch. And when things are clicking like that, there's still very few gaming experiences that are more fun. So you've just kind of been playing your old faithfuls. I've actually been dabbling only a little bit into some other games that I thought we could just touch on briefly. But as our listeners probably know, the Tokyo 2021 Olympic Games have arrived. And to celebrate, Google actually released an Olympics-themed RPG. Did you know about this, Josh?
I did not know about this at first. People kept saying, hey, click the Google, icon. Logo, there you go. Click the Google logo. And I know that Google always does different stuff, and sometimes they're interactive and stuff like that. So after enough people mentioned it, I said, okay, well, let me go see what this is about. And it started some little game. And so I played it for like a minute, and then I was like, okay, I'm not like, something was going on. So it's just like, okay, whatever. That's cool. They made a game. But then earlier today, I played this game for probably a solid like 30 to 40 minutes.
It's surprisingly fun.
It's a good game, man. Like, don't let the graphics put you off, and don't let the fact that it plays in a small little browser window put you off. It's legit, man. You go around and you do Olympic games. I did skateboarding. I did mountain climbing. I did dancing, which was more like the DDR type. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I mean, they just mixed it up so well. There's this big world that you can explore. You get quests. Like, you can talk to these crazy little animal characters and stuff. I was legit impressed with it. I was like, hey, whoever made this, like, good job.
Yeah, it's actually a full-fledged game. And there are 7 Olympic games that you can jump into. There's even different factions that you can join with different colors, and they all compete against one another. And I actually really enjoyed the rugby mode more than any of them. Did you try rugby by any chance?
I did not try rugby. I didn't run into that.
Okay.
I was trying to do a few of the quests and stuff. I think I mentioned there might be one other one that I did, but no, I didn't play rugby at all. Was that fun?
Yeah, the rugby one was actually really neat. So basically you have a team of 5 players, and you're just trying to run from your side of the field all the way to the right side, but then all these monsters run out and try to tackle you. And so there's little power-ups you can run over on the screen, and you can throw the ball. You know, it has like a directional pass, almost kind of like old school Tecmo Bowl. So it's kind of like you're just playing the running back in Tecmo Bowl, trying to get to the other side. But the AI is actually pretty smart, and they're pretty good at trying to trap you. So sometimes you have to like run backward and pass a lot. I was actually quite surprised. I did chuckle because whenever I check for gaming news, I noticed that Eurogamer ran a short article on this, and the headline actually read, Google's Olympics-inspired RPG is way better than it needed to be.
Yeah.
And I think that's totally fair. It's actually pretty fun.
It is a full-fledged game. Like, you would expect it to just be this little, like, 5 to 10 minute, like, oh, okay, that's cool. Like, or that's neat, and then you just move on. But I didn't keep playing it, but there were quests that I had to do, and I was like, these quests are actually going to take a while. Like, you know what I mean? This is not some like super dumbed down, simplified game. I don't know how long they're going to keep it for, hopefully for the entire Olympics, but yeah, that's a accurate headline because it was way better than they needed to make it, or it needed to be to grab people's attention.
Yeah, and so everything is super simplistic. It's literally just your arrow keys and the space bar. Every game only uses those, but they're actually surprisingly fun. The skateboarding mode, by any chance, did you ever play Skate or Die back on the NES?
No.
Okay, yeah, that mode actually reminded me a lot of Skate or Die. I thought that one might have been the weakest out of the bunch.
It probably
the
was. It was fun to try to do the tricks and like rail grind and stuff like that. But yeah, it was very hard to crash, and you couldn't do like a ton of stuff. The mountain climbing one I thought was kind of neat because that was like timing based, and you had to race the clock. which was pretty cool on that. The DDR one was exactly what you would expect. But yeah, it's it is a very easy way to just waste like 30 or 40 minutes. That's for sure.
Yeah, and of course being completely free on just, google.com. So I do hope that they keep it around for a while. Clearly they put a lot of time into it. And then the only other game that I was going to bring up is that we have talked in the past about The Witcher Monster Slayer, which is the Pokemon Go clone. That did release just a couple of days ago on the 21st. I got a little excited, so I went ahead and downloaded it. And Josh, this mobile game was 1.6 gigabytes.
Oh my
which
goodness.
I could not believe for a mobile game. It's huge. And it looks great. I did not find it very fun to play, unfortunately. Have you dipped your toes into this one at all, or not?
I have not.
Yet?
I was going to let you be the guinea pig, to be honest. I mean, we kind of talked about this before. As much as I love the Witcher universe and the lore and all that stuff, I'm not going to play this game. Like, maybe I download it at some point just to have it on my phone and walk around and try it out. But I've been reading a couple articles and kind of summaries, and it doesn't seem like it's really hitting the mark for a lot of people. And oddly enough, because you and I talked about this before, is a lot of the complaints on it are that it's missing like the social aspect. And there's, it's a little money hungry in the sense that after like every fight, it reminds you that, hey, you can visit the store and spend real money, and stuff like that. And I mean, I know Pokemon Go did that. And it's like, hey, do you need to buy some Pokeballs? And it was very easy to spend $1 here and there. But when it's constantly reminding you of it, it's a little distracting and stuff. So I did read that the combat was neat and the like stalking monsters was cool, but then you have to like make potions and oil, but kind of like the hatching the eggs in Pokemon Go, that can take like 20 minutes or there's requirements for that stuff. It sounds great in theory. It's just not something that I will probably ever try. And even if I did, I find it very hard to believe that it would be something to actually grab my attention.
Yeah, I'm actually a little surprised that you had read the combat was pretty fun, because that to me was the most lackluster part of it. There's really only two kinds of attack. If you swipe really fast, then he does fast attacks. And if you swipe slow, then he does slow attacks. And you kind of have to just like click and hold at the right time to parry enemy attacks. And that is certainly more combat than you get from something like Pokemon Go. But it's just so simplistic that even after my second or third monster, I was already kind of like, ugh, this is already getting a little bit boring. But the very first like special monster that you fight, it kind of makes it clear you have to go buy items in order to defeat those monsters. So you either have to let them go or you just kind of have to pay to win. And so I played for about half an hour and I was already kind of like, all right, maybe it's more fun the more you play, but I'm kind of out on it already and I barely touched it.
See, and that was the thing with Pokemon Go that they got so right, is that even if you came across a super rare Pokemon, you had a good chance of catching it, even with like the normal Pokeballs. And then it was like, hey, if you have the Ultras or you have the Raspberries, like there's a much better chance that you're actually going to land this thing. But with this Witcher game, that kind of stuff, it just seems like a money grab in a lot of ways. And I get that, hey, the game itself is free. But when everything is geared around like, hey, please spend money, and they remind you of that like over and over again, it really leaves like a bad taste for me.
Yeah. The one thing that I did think was neat that I should give it credit for in the combat is when you use the signs. So like you're the bigger Witcher guy. I think Igni is like the flame runic power. And so when you cast that in the game, it actually makes you draw the symbol and then he casts the spell. So I thought that was kind of neat. But other than that, I don't really see the game having many legs, just simply because there's not going to be any kind of social aspect for it.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Well, moving on, there are a couple of those big releases this week that you had mentioned. Maybe
I'm so
not
excited.
Maybe not like really anticipated by the general public, but definitely games that are on our radar. We have Tribes of Midgard, which we have talked about on the show. That is set to release on the 27th, which means when this episode drops on the 29th, we've already been playing it for 2 days, Josh. What do you think we would say about Tribes of Midgard on Thursday when this drops? How do you think we're feeling about
fun,
it?
Man. Oh,
so
this
much
game
fun?
is great, Paul. It's, it's like Diablo meets Valheim. What more can you say? We've been having an absolute blast, right?
I hope you're right.
Okay. I know everybody's probably picking on me, right? Because for no reason whatsoever, I am super hyped for these 2 games that are coming out this week. And neither of these games is really like a blockbuster looking game, right? They're small developers. There's not been a lot of hype for these. I didn't even know Tribes of Midgard existed like 3 weeks ago. So I don't know why I'm so excited for these. I just want a fun game to play with friends, right? That's not, a shooter game. As much as like we talk about how much fun we had with Overwatch, like I'm just getting kind of tired of that genre. And it's not to say that I'm going to be tired of first person shooters all the time, but like sometimes you just need a break, right? You need that change of pace. And this game just looks like it's fun. It looks challenging. It looks like there will be that kind of natural role for people because there's building and there's crafting and there's exploration and there's fighting. And they're saying like the combat's going to be hard, man. Like you got to work together and you got to use your classes, in cooperative ways to be able to survive. I love the aspect of like the impending doom where it's like at some point you will fail. Do you know what I mean? Like that's what this game is geared for. So I like the challenge aspect of that as well. It might be like, hey, that's a fun game for 3 hours. And now it's like, okay, cool. But I hope that it's more than that. But I know I've been making a really big deal about it to everybody. And it's, Todd, right? Todd was, I was asking him, I'm like, Todd, you going to play this game with us? And he was like, yeah, I watched that video and it doesn't really look that fun to me. And I went just like, oh, what? Like, how dare you not be hyped about this?
I hope it's fun. I love that we can play with a nice big group. I don't think it's going to be quite as magical as Valheim felt, but I hope it's just a fun experience that we can at least get a week or 2 out of. But let's go ahead and just take a brief break here, and we'll be right back after hearing from one of our sponsors.
All right, Paul, we love our listeners, so it's time to help them out. You see that guy listening? Yeah, that guy plays games using his earpods from his phone. I know, it's a travesty. Well, we're here to help out. Head over to multiplayerpodcast.com/Logitech and see what you've been missing out on. From mice to keyboards to headsets and everything in between, they've got something that's sure to improve your gaming experience. The best part is, they won't break the bank, and since they're extremely high quality, they're gonna last. Do yourself a favor and improve your game over at multiplayerpodcast.com/Logitech.
All right, Josh, we are back. So we've got Tribes of Midgard coming out this week, and then we also have a game called The Ascent, which is set to release the same day as this episode, so that game is now out. And I'm just going to toss this one to you, Josh. This is a little bit more up your alley, although I'm very interested in it. Why don't you tell the people a little bit about The Ascent?
So The Ascent is a twin-stick shooter RPG cyberpunk game. That is how they advertise it. The world looks awesome. The cyberpunk aspects look awesome. It's got a very cool graphical style to it. It's very gritty and like not, I don't want to say real world, but cyberpunkish, right? Like not cartoony though.
Right.
And it is cooperative. It's got a full-fledged like campaign to it. They have like cover mechanics. There's all kinds of really cool guns you can get, abilities and skill trees and stuff like that. So it hits all of the RPG elements as well. I don't know why this game looks so good to me. Also, I think it's because if you get twin stick shooter with friends, cyberpunk with lots of different weapons and abilities, and the graphics really do something for this game to me that get me excited about it. And I really look forward to playing this game with friends as well. Now, maybe it's not the Tribes of Midgard, like, hey, let's get 6 to 8 people on and play this. Like, I think the Ascent is a game that like you and I could play, where it's like a lot of fun with just a buddy, although it is up to 4-player co-op. But there's something about it. You kind of got to watch like the gameplay trailer to see, but I've watched a lot of the developer commentary and breakdowns on it. And it's from a small little studio, but these guys have poured their heart and soul into this game. They've done a lot of stuff that really makes sense and stands out to me. And so I'm pretty hyped for this one too. I think it's going to be the game that when we're not all playing Tribes of Midgard, I'm going to be in the Ascent, like hopefully with somebody joining me. But if they're not, like that's okay too, because, the game can be either or in that case.
Yeah, I really love that it has 4-player co-op. It's very reminiscent of like Gauntlet, or if anyone out there played the Hunter the Reckoning. I always really liked those dual control stick co-op games. That's definitely right up my alley. So I really hope that this one really hits the mark, because if that kind of game is executed well, I really love that kind of experience. So here's hoping that the Ascent rises to that level.
Yeah, and the thing is, it's not just combat, right? Like, it's legitimately, this is a full-fledged RPG, so there is you look around this town and you have to, look in lockers and you find gear, and so there is that whole, like, campaign element to it, too. This isn't just, like, mindless shooting at all. So if you have the right friend to play it with, I think it looks like it could be an incredible experience in that regard. I don't know. I hope so. Like both. Yeah. I'm telling you right now, Paul, if both these games flop, I'm going to be so sad on the next episode.
Yeah, I feel like we'll get a few hours out of it, but yeah, we'll see. We have also been jumping into the New World beta, but we're kind of planning on probably doing its own episode, so we're not going to talk about that at all. But yeah, it would really be sad if we ended up with like all these brand new games that we're kind of hyped for. Hopefully at least one of them will hit and really click on all cylinders.
Yeah.
We do have a couple of news stories this week that are kind of interesting. One of them is about the game Splitgate, which is not new by any means. This is a game that's been around for 2 years on PC, and it always had a very small player base. This one you might remember as being Halo meets Portal. So it's that first-person shooter, but everyone can fire their own portal mechanics, and so it's kind of like a chaotic shooter. Well, they ended up releasing a cross-play beta with console, and it has exploded so much in popularity, Josh. They had to actually pull this game down entirely in order to implement a queue system because they never had so many people playing at once.
See, that's goofy to me because I remember hearing about Splitgate, and when somebody said it's Halo meets Portal, my brain exploded. And I was just like, that sounds like the greatest thing ever. And then I don't remember if I think I hopped into the game like once on PC. They were doing like a beta weekend or something like that. I think I played it for like 30 minutes and just got obliterated by people. I think I was trying to like figure out like, how do you use these mechanics plus the gunplay and stuff like that. I just remember not being very impressed, or maybe I didn't give it a fair shot. But apparently this cross-play beta that they did, now that was, I think, 1.5 years ago too. So I'm sure the game has been, improved and developed since then, because I don't even know, it's not officially released yet on consoles, right?
Yeah, this is just in beta, and it's only a team of 4 engineers that are working on Splitgate. So it's a pretty small development team. But yeah, I would imagine quite a bit's changed over the last 1.5 years.
Yeah, we might need to give this one a try because like I said, Halo meets Portal sounds incredible. I remember seeing some gameplay footage of it and what you can do with those portals to like flank people and like teleport behind them and shotgun in the back looks amazing. The fact that this just broke all of their servers in their game, I'm super happy for the developers, man, because that's the hype you need, right? And then once you get that hype, it just snowballs. I mean, we saw that's what happened to Valheim. Here comes this game that nobody's heard of, nobody's really playing, and then it just snowballed into, honestly, one of the greatest games that we've played in the last couple of years.
Yeah, it's also very reminiscent of Among Us, of being around for a couple of years and then all of a sudden getting that explosion in player base. Their system was set up to only handle a max of 65,000 concurrent players, and they were regularly in only the 3 digits. So they were often only having 700-800 players at a time. And now it was just so popular. They said, okay, we got to pull it down. As a stopgap, we're going to create a queue system. And then on the back end, we're going to have to work on a long-term solution to figure this out. But, good for them. That's obviously one of those good problems. Hopefully they can figure it all out pretty quickly and that no one will quit over that kind of problem, because that's just something that's unforeseen. It's a 2-year-old game. No one saw it all of a sudden blowing up 50 times what it had before.
And honestly, they recognized it right away that that's the way to go, right? Like, just tell people like, hey, we were not ready for this. We are expanding servers. We'll have those good to go soon. It's when you don't acknowledge the issue, that's when gamers start to get ticked off, right? Like, what's happening?
Yeah.
Why can't I log in? I keep getting dropped, or this queue time is ridiculous and there's no communication whatsoever. That's when you're really going to aggravate people. But if you just come clean and say, hey, we love the fact that so many people have jumped in here. We will fix this very soon. Sorry, here you go, and here's the plan. And then I would imagine it'll be pretty quick to get up and running for the number of people that actually want to play it.
Yeah. So that's one that I know we had kept our eye on for a while, but we might have to actually jump into it here now that it's getting quite a bit more popular. And also, we had a video that released this week that highlighted a new mode that'll be in Battlefield 2042.
I am so excited for this, Paul.
I think this is probably the game we are most hyped for here in the upcoming year. But ironically enough, it has something called Portal mode. Although this has nothing to do with portals like in Splitgate, but they did show that they are going to let you set up custom matches that will use maps, weapons, classes from previous Battlefield entries. So they show in this video, like, defibrillators versus knives. And it's just of the funniest thing inside the video, seeing this giant battle of, whatever it is, like 50v50 going at each other with defibrillators. But I really love the idea that they're going to let you use everything from the past entries, because there's so much nostalgia, so much fun. And now we can kind of pick the best maps and the best weapons and kind of mash them all together.
I love the fact that they're doing this. This to me tells me that EA DICE is truly trying to get back to what the players like about Battlefield, instead of just spitting something out and then hoping that maybe it catches on, right? I was looking into this. This is really cool what you can do with this. It almost reminds me of like Halo Forge, where people could just create all of these different game modes and stuff like that. Now, it doesn't have like a level editor like Forge did, but they were saying you can do any number of things. They had talked about like there was a gun game mode, which we play in Overwatch a lot,
sure.
But they mixed gun game with infection. So there's one person that can play a match that's infected and everybody else is playing gun game. But every time the infected person kills somebody, they become infected too, while everybody else is playing gun game. So it's this race between like, can you infect everybody versus this guy that's progressing down the weapon tree? Like the possibilities seem almost limitless. The only thing that they were saying is you cannot mix too much together at one time. So you can't take like Battlefield 1942 and give some of the people on your team like 1942 characters and guns, and then the other people on your team like 2042 jets and guns. Like, you can't intermix it like that. Now, you can create an entire map that is 1942 versus 2042, but you can't, so there are some limitations there. But then they were just explaining how many different things you can do. And they were saying, look, we're putting this in the hands of the people, like the players. And you and I have always said, what's the absolute best way to get really, really fun game modes, right?
Get 10 million developers to work for you.
Exactly. And that's what they're doing. Like, I can't wait, because the base game looks incredible as it is. But man, you're going to find that server that's got this amazing rule set or these special parameters on it or something, and it is just going to make it the most fun thing in the world to play. And that gets me super jacked up, man, because I feel like they're finally getting Battlefield right, and they're giving people the tools to make this game just amazing for a long time.
Yeah, I'm very excited about it. And I hope that someone figures out how to put in Genji parkour in Battlefield 2042, and I'm gonna make you play it.
Dude, every time you guys start that mode, I take my ball and I go home and I just sit there in the spawn and I'm like, nope, I'm not doing it.
Yeah, I really love that they're giving some of the keys to the car to the community. I don't see how that goes wrong. I mean, it only has potential for more fun. So I'm really looking forward to Battlefield 2042. That's about all the time that we have. I will just very briefly share one quick story here. Hood Outlaws and Legends, which we properly skewered on the show not too long ago. They are releasing a new mode called State Heist, which is entirely PvE. Kind of a bold move given that the base game is fully PvP. And it is releasing on the 28th, so that has just gone live. Basically, they're just making the enemies a lot tougher, and extraction is automatic as you fight off waves as enemies come toward you. Josh, does this interest you at all in re-downloading Hood?
I feel bad, man. I know these developers really tried. Honestly, I really do, right? Like they tried to make such a great game and it just missed. And I almost feel like this is a desperation grab to say, look, nobody is playing PvP. Like this game is dead already. And so can we maybe entice people to play it for the PvE portion? But knowing the base mechanics and, you know, the PvE that was incorporated into the PvP, I just don't see it being riveting enough, even if you ramp up the difficulty, to make this something where we would go back and say, oh, let's play, you know, Hood PvE version now.
Yeah.
So
it's kind of silly.
No.
Yeah, I mean, like, we love the Robin Hood theme. We love the idea of a heist and all that. But trying to make a PvE stealth mode with 4 players is just by nature nearly impossible. So it's just a little bit of an odd direction. I think we would be more likely to re-download it if they just seriously nerfed assassinations and got rid of a lot of that kind of stuff. But at least they are trying something new. I mean, I do give them credit for that. But at the same time, I just don't think it's calling us back at this point.
No.
But yeah. All right. Well, that's all that we have here for this week in gaming. We will be back with a bonus round episode on Monday. And we would love for you guys to give us some suggestions for what you would like us to talk about on future bonus round episodes. So please join us on our free Discord server. There's a link in the episode description. You can come connect with me and Josh and other listeners. We would love to have you guys on there. And you can also find us on social media everywhere at Multiplayer Pod. So we would love to hear from you guys and hear some feedback and to hear your ideas. And I think that's it for today. Anything else, Josh?
Let's go play some Tribes of Midgard, Paul.
Let's do it. All right. We'll see you guys on Monday. Have a good weekend.
All right. See you, everybody.